I heard the funniest thing at work. You guys are gonna love this.
Yeah. I was really interested in the process behind the scenes because this movie must have been filmed after the death of his wife. And it so heavily involved the death of his wife in the movie.
Yeah.
And I was like, that must have been a really heavy shoot.
Have you seen?
Must have been a pretty great.
Did you see the plane crash scene?
Yeah. Wow.
So
it was like an actual plane.
Oh my god! It was way too good.
You're about to bust out something. I see.
I was cooking something. I decided to let it pass.
Yeah, probably a good idea.
Yeah. So let's talk about another thing. Doug had linked me a page about a guy who just goes out in the wilderness and makes himself the alpha male of wolf packs.
I saw that yesterday.
Wow.
They call him the Wolfman. Yep.
Wolfman.
Yep.
What a badass way to do it.
I saw him, devouring a deer carcass, and the way he does it, he just devours a deer carcass, or a boar, even more hardcore boar, and he was just sitting there eating the carcass while like maintaining eye contact with
Yeah. Okay. The thing is,
behind
the scenes is he's had them since they were pups,
or
or he's known them since they were pups.
Well, that changes.
And
that changes the whole thing.
Yeah. So he's been around them since they were young. It's like
he just went out for like a funny photo shoot with his dogs.
Basically, yeah.
But
he does that though. Like he'll like lick them in the face and like wrestle with them. And
see, because part of me thinks that's badass,
but
part of me
like
thinks
growls
it's
and
kind of
stuff too. It's kind of weird.
See, like,
it's bordering on Grizzly Man.
Yeah, like play acting.
No,
hey man, hey, let me say something about Grizzly Man. Okay, I admire that man. I actually do. Now let me say why. He was a lunatic. He was a lunatic, but I admire him because what he did was basically he turned his life around from this drug addict man, and he devoted his life towards something that he really wanted to do. Now that is admirable to me.
Bears.
You know what? Okay, you know what? I kind of like. Last night, Dwayne and I watched A Beautiful Mind. It's about. Have you guys ever seen it? No. It's about this genius mathematician who his life slowly dissolves because he has schizophrenia, paranoid schizophrenia, and he like
my life 20 years.
He gets over it.
Making that wager now.
He stops making it or taking his meds, and gets over it by just ignoring his hallucinations, and like lives the rest of his life. He's still alive today.
Willpower. Huh?
And like just complete willpower.
I mean, that's very interesting.
That makes me think of Grizzly Man. Like he just like decided to throw society away and leave and go into the wild and live with these grizzly bears.
Yes, and you see many people do this. I mean, you saw it in Into the Wild, you saw it in Grizzly Man. You see these people who are so desperate to turn to nature from an escape from the moral ills of society or whatever they want to call it.
I think he was never.
But they all end up dying early.
He was never a socially
adaptable. You guys have to read Into the Wild. It's such a great story.
I did read it.
Did you?
Yeah.
Did you? Were you sympathetic for him, or
no?
No,
I was not.
I'm not. Look.
What I will say about last word on Grizzly Man, I always forget his name. Timothy Treadwell. That's it.
Yeah.
What I will say is that
looks like he didn't tread well.
Ah, gosh, how many more puns?
I can keep.
What I will say is that what he did, just watching him interact with wild bears, was really interesting because.
Because I never do that in my life.
Yes. One.
I don't screw around with bears.
Two, man. There was never a moment with fear. See, like if you look a bear, if you see a bear and a bear sees you and there's any moment of weakness, then instinctually an animal, especially a predator, will look at that and be like, well, he's running for a reason, I can probably eat him.
Yeah.
And that's what bears do, naturally. When they see something run, or they see something scream or look defensive, they did that. Timothy Treadwell was never like that. Never like that with bears. And so, in fact, he was able to live around these bears for so long. A lot of people think that he died because of
the
girlfriend that he brought in. A lot of people will blame him on that. I don't know. I don't know the case. Other people say it was a rogue bear.
No, you know what it was? You know what it was? They smoked crack in the tent and then went messing with some grizzlies.
But see, that's another one of those things. Like
I will never know. We'll never.
Yeah. Yeah.
What if he just faked his death?
And is a bear now.
Oh my.
Into
Druidic transformation!
Into the wild.
For real.
Into a
Animorphs. Timothy Treadwell edition.
I think if look, I understand. I understand the craving to get away from a society. Like that makes a lot of sense to me. There are points when I think, wow, I would really just love to get out of this place right now and just go into the wild. But if you're gonna live in the wild, if you're going to live in the opposite of the city, or
You have to be completely versed in
you
where
have
you're
to
gonna
be. You have to know where you're going. You have to know
But
what
he
you're
did.
facing.
Timothy Treadwell did know that.
No, yeah,
Yeah,
he
but,
did. Well,
but his
I think
fatal
more like
mistake,
Oh, okay,
his fatal mistake, just like I forget the other man's name.
Chris something.
His fatal mistake
Super.
was even
I think I changed it to
something. Even when there was a level of unpreparedness when he brought in something else.
Yeah.
So that level of unpreparedness for both of those men caused their death. The level of unpreparedness when he brought in his girlfriend and did whatever they were doing.
There's a scene in that movie.
Or he listens to the audio.
Well, yes, that's quite frightening. But there's a scene in the movie
Increasing
where,
it?
yeah, where he's just sitting in a field, and these fox pups just come to play with him. They just come to play with him because he's been there so long that they trust him as not harming him. And so they steal his hat or they do something, and it was surreal.
And he just giggles.
Yeah,
the whole time.
He's quite a feminine man in the movie, which is why I think also his escape into nature was partly because
like
his own self.
turmoil.
Yeah.
I mean, you can see he was quite tortured just by his own personal dialogue with himself. You know, but I don't know. I think if you're looking for such an escape from society because of how society judges you, you don't need to turn to absolute isolation. You just go if possible, and obviously that's
well, I think some
notion. Just go to a different society.
That's what
I think some people just
Went to a
feel a connection with nature and they just want to go out there and try to be a part of it.
Yeah.
And that's something I've thought about so many times myself, but there's so many things within our society that I love so much and wish that I didn't love, but
like halal.
yes.
I think it's
and electronics and video games.
I think it's funny that we even fantasize or make huge media popularity out of films like Grizzly Man, out of films like Into the Wild, because essentially they're telling you or they're producing an idea that
you shouldn't do this.
That you shouldn't do this. Yes, you should not do this. This is not something that you should like. We all have these thoughts like, oh man, I just want to escape into the wild.
The director of
Sean Penn directed Into the Wild, and then
Grizzly Man
Werner Herzog.
Werner Herzog.
What a weird
Werner
accent.
Herzog didn't do that with Grizzly Man. In fact, what he did was he pretty much laid the facts on the table. And that movie actually has haunting shots of these basically these long zoom-in, awkward shots of just the interviews where people are just like standing still, talking. And
No,
it's
but
weird.
that's not the point. They reach a popularity because it's a romanticized thought in everyone's mind. I've thought all the time, wow, I'd really just love to go into the wild and just live. And then you see these people do it, and they all die.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, you know what the thing is that the way Werner Herzog put
I'm not going to do that
But
anymore.
the way Werner Herzog put it was basically he died, but he died doing what he loved. So, I mean, is that not...
It was kind of like
not
a
death?
warrior's death.
It was. It really was. So I think that if you go out into the wild, doing what you love, and you perish due to your own cause out in the wild, by the time of your death, you are probably at peace with the mistakes that you've made.
Well, that gets into like a fate argument, and like, well, am I destined to die soon? And
I don't think so. I think that comes down to a comfortability with what you were doing in the wild.
Comfortability is not a word.
Is it really not a word? And my whole life has just changed from this point on because I've been just
Comfortability. Let's look it up. Okay, new topic.
All right. Let's start. I kind of want to talk about social media sites. You know, we've mentioned Tumblr, we've mentioned Twitter, we've mentioned these sites, and Facebook and whatnot as well. I want to talk about these sites.
Or are we going to make a Facebook?
Oh yeah.
We could.
Okay, we're gonna.
No. This
Let's talk
kind of
about
ties
this.
into it. I just read that Google Plus is the second most popular social media website in the world just took over YouTube and Twitter.
Wow.
Yeah.
Not true.
Because you know
its
why?
interface.
No, dude, look at it on my phone. It's awesome on my phone. You just go in here, and there's topics that you're interested in, just right in front of you. You don't have to read through everything.
You know what I think is really funny about these social media sites, though? You end up feeling, powerful in some sense or another. Like when you're in front of your computer and you have the ability to talk to anyone in the world, you can say whatever you want. This sort of, even though a lot of social media sites don't allow anonymity, you have the ability to say and do things which are like so, I don't know, it makes you feel empowered. Oh, you can say some stuff that you would never ever say to a person face to face.
Well, yeah, anonymously, of course.
But even not anonymously.
Honestly,
yeah.
People start fights on the internet for the most outrageous things I've ever seen in my life. And why would you
grammar?
But why would you fight over the internet?
But they don't actually fight.
No. It's an argument, and
but it's an intellectual pissing contest.
Yeah. And sometimes they're really interesting, especially on YouTube. Oh my god.
Most of the time, they're hilarious.
Yeah.
They are.
Yes, I'll agree.
On human
a
nature.
lot of them are funny, but a lot of them are just pointless. It's almost as if the internet has become a method of anger management. If
it helps people, then
have you?
Yeah, but it helps people at the expense of others.
It could be cathartic in some ways, but have you ever been involved in like one of those? I can't do it. I cannot bring myself to do it. I have to like stop and say like, there's no way that this person is actually going to take what I'm saying seriously. And
why would you? What's the point?
Well, because I know that if
Reddit
somebody
karma,
is like
not a currency.